Here I am. It's Leon C., aka Morpheus, as you call me. I have a very special video for you, my wonderful family of America. And I'm going to add something in the beginning before we continue on to this video. All right? Now, if you are sensitive to positive criticism, you don't need to be listening to this video. Okay? If you are a Bible thumper and you are a closed-minded individual where you think your way is the only way and no other way is the way, this video is not for you. For everyone else, if you decide to continue with this video, that means you agree to accept the opinions or the variations of what I will say or may say to empower you, because that is my fullest intentions. It is not to ruffle your feathers. I am just a messenger, and I am here to fulfill the bridge that is broken within the minds of our American family and what causes us to become weakened, and also to fulfill those who send in requests and questions that they ask Morpheus to deliver a red pill unto them and others who might be in their similar situation. So therefore, if you continue to listen and watch this, you cannot hold me accountable for what you hear. Hold yourself accountable because you decided to listen. But now that you are here, one thing that I want from you the most is when you listen to this video again or look at this video again, I want you to be on vacation. Take this video with you on vacation. Go to the beach. Be around no one when you're at the beach. Have a sense of solitude. Have a glass of wine or a glass of tea. And I want you to stand with your bare feet in the sand and gaze upon the water as you are listening to what I am telling you today. I want you to close the physical body of your mind and open up the spiritual eyes of your mind and your soul and listen to what I am telling you. As Morpheus, as a brother of you, my American family, your task and my task is the same. And that is to be more than what we are and to be more than what we are deceived to be. And to do that, you got to shut down the noise. You got to cut everything off. You have to open up your senses of your inner man. Close out the senses of your exterior man. Because that's where the deceptions are. That's where the program is. It's in your flesh. It's in your physical mind. It's in your physical anatomy. That's where you become deceived. Close out and meditate. And get into the inner person that you are and ask yourself some questions. Because tomorrow will be here. Today will pass away. And thus, if you continue to live, or as we continue to live in the function of America as we do, then it will be reciprocated death, reciprocated limitations, reciprocated emptiness, reciprocated you waking up in the morning without a purpose, even though you think your only purpose is to be mommy and daddy. You think your only purpose is to work your 9 to 5. You think your only purpose is to live a purpose that other people give you, in which you have never gave yourself a purpose. Your purpose doesn't have to always mean that you are serving others. That doesn't always mean that you are a fighter, you are a police officer, you are a judge. That's not what your purpose is. That's what you do as an occupation. That's what you do as a public service. That's not your purpose in life. That's what you have decided on physically as a physical human being. That's not what your soul, your mind, and the higher person that you are have decided. Some of you have never decided because you don't even know the inner person that you are. Some of you have never decided or even have an idea of what you think a purpose is because you are afraid to dig that deep in yourself. You are afraid to go higher than what you think of yourself. You are afraid to think differently because if you think differently, you will not be accepted. You won't be considered as a part of the group. You'll be considered as odd if you think differently. So like a flock of birds, you herd together. Like a flock of cows, you flock together. As a plantation of sheep, you herd together. Don't you realize that when you herd together in certain incidences, not for a united power, but you just herd together because you think that one person's thought is the same as the other, you just may be wrong. For as Morpheus and as yourself, my family, we do need to unite and herd together when it comes to empowerment for tomorrow and for our children. But individually on a spiritual plane, which is only identical between you and your God, is only unique to you and your God. Many people can guide you in the right direction. You can be inspired by others. You can be motivated by others. But it is up to you to sign the dotted line. I have been asked two questions that makes a lot of sense. Someone who have had plenty of time to think about it, who have been in the church, who comprehends deception, have asked me these questions. Said, Morpheus, what do you think about Satan worship? My response is this. I can remember it because who cannot remember such a request or an email? I have no response to it. I don't know as much as you don't know. But I have done some research. And what I know based on my history, based on the history of the Christian church specifically, and other religious sectors that was derived from the Catholic faith, is that you have this big book to talk about your hero, Jester the Christ, but you barely have anything that talks about Satan. It's amazing how we ostracize. See, you got to understand the thing. When you are to be misdirected, the programmer wants you to think a certain way, so they're going to put what's in front of you, what they want you to think about. And what they do not want you to think about, they're going to put on the back seat. No, I do not condone ill-righteous behavior. No, I do not serve or service or believe in no Satan or no Christ. There's no religiousness here. I'm speaking facts. With the facts of it, it has nothing to do with me. Satanic worship, as you would call it, or as they will call it, is just people who is flexing and utilizing their free will to decide to practice, worship, or follow whatever ideology that they choose to do so. That's not an offense to the Catholic faith. That is not an assault on any other faith. It's not that they're trying to burn down anything. They're just believing and standing on their own principles. The same as the Christian church or the Catholic faith has the right to stand on their own principle. Who is wrong in the matter is when you are brought up, when we are brought up to learn one way and to demonize another way. From what I know is that usually the King James version of the Bible, which has been manipulated in so many ways, okay, only talks about uplifting this Superman called Jester the Christ, but never talked about the true history of Satan, never discussed what happened with Satan. I was brought up this way as a child, and most of you was brought up this way as a child by thinking that Satan was one way and Jester was another way. Don't you realize that both sides of the party has a story? Don't you realize that both energies have a right to produce or to show their own potential based on you having an optimistic view? See, you need to have a choice as to what you believe in and not believe in. When you are reading a book that's only telling you that Mary Poppins, is the greatest, mother or caretaker of whatever situation that there may be, and everyone else is insignificant to her, you need to wonder why they're uplifting this person and putting the other person down. Don't you realize that a real God, real balance, real love, real truth lets you decide where you get the story of both ends? All you know of is that there was a Lucifer and Satan that was in heaven. He was this beautiful angel, and he got struck down because he wanted to challenge God. And the story goes from there. Then he transformed to be this serpent called the snake, and the story keeps going. That's what you know. That's what most of us have learned. And not too much of the story extends after that, because all you hear about is the death, burial, and resurrection, and Adam and Eve, in the flood of the earth, and Moses, and the story keeps going on from there, because all it is a story. It's not historical fact. So common sense would tell the average idiot, okay, that you got to have evidence from both ends in order to come up with your own conclusion. So in this discussion that we are having, you yourself take your time to think about that. That most people, most entities, when they are trying to misdirect you, they are going to try to advertise how great this thing is and tell you how bad that is. Who are they to tell you what's bad and good? You are an individual of your own internal empowerment, where you need to decide for yourself what you think is bad and good. Most times you are programmed before you even reach the age 2 years old, because you're being brought back and forth to the church against your better will. By the time you're 12 years old or 13 years old, you don't argue what you've been taught. You don't argue what you thought was so God so loved the world scheme, because that's all you knew. So another emailer asked me, they said, what kind of faith are you then if you don't believe in religion, Morpheus? Morpheus is all, but I am not all. I am every religion, but I am no religion at all. I'm going to tell you why. Because there's wisdom in every religion. There is an idea in every religion. There is truth to a percentage in every religion. But I don't live by every religion. Just like when you go to school, just like when you go to the library, there is a monicum or a vast variety of information. All of them, or one of them, is not the only exact way to heaven and hell. You understand? You got to derive your information from everything, and you put it together and you surmise what your conclusion is. And a lot of you do not read the Bible. A lot of you don't even focus on what you're studying, because you don't comprehend that you was grown up in something that you never challenged. You never even questioned the pastor. You never even questioned what the words meant. Like with the Apostle Paul, the story of Apostle Paul. He told y'all in your biblical text, and when he was talking about y'all being saved again if you believe in the death, burial, and resurrection of your gesture, He told you in the end passages of his sentences, of his verses, that it was an allegory. Do y'all know what allegory mean? Or do I have to put it on my billboard and show you what it means and write down the definition for you? Do I have to hold your hand to do that too? I hope I do not. If somebody tells you, sorry, all this time I was talking to you, it's an allegory, don't you think that you would be like, wait a minute, what? How come all of a sudden when you get, see, and I understand religion is a serious thing for most people. It's very personal because y'all looking for hope and y'all looking for direction. I understand because a lot of you, you need ground and you need self-control, because without self-control, okay, you'll lose your sense of the future or tomorrow. But what is Morpheus saying? It's not self-control. Something else is controlling you. Self-control means you don't need it. I wrote some things down for you. But before I get to this, I had another emailer. He wanted me to finish on Mr. West, Kanye West. He said, Mr. Morpheus, what do you think about Kanye West turning to what he called Christ or Jesus and broadcasting it? I don't normally suggest or talk about anyone on this channel, and I'm not talking to anybody on this channel or about anyone on this channel. I'm talking to you for your empowerment and for you who have emailed me this. Okay? Everything at this point, when it comes to those types of situations, is speculation. I can only go by what I know as Morpheus. I have studied, and being around the religious faiths, I have heard ministers and pastors actually say, we need to find a way to get people to come back to the church because we are losing members. People are losing faith, and a lot of people are losing faith in religion, period, around the country. And then all of a sudden you have Kanye West, who is talking about he's turning to Christ and reeling people back in. Okay? But it's not against Kanye West. It's not, his determination might be real. That's between him and his belief in his religion. His idea is based on his own storefront. I can only go by what I know, and you can only go by what you know. And if you pay attention to advertisers on TV, and it's not against Mr. West, this is just reality, this is fact. When they're trying to sell something, they will put a popular face in front. Just like Vidal Sassoon, they would always have a famous female like Eva Longoria or Gabrielle Union to be up there to show Jergens skin or something like that and how it works on your skin. And Vidal Sassoon, you have them flashing their hair around, and it's always a famous female who most people know of and she's popular. And you say, why is this? Because they want to sell their product. And what salespeople do, and I'm not stepping on toes, this is facts. You do your own research. Just pay attention to commercials or go back and look at the other commercials that used to be here. That's how they sell their product, by putting a popular face in front. And they figure, well, she uses it. Maybe I can be just as beautiful as her. And you put in your hair and your hair's still nappy, or you put that stuff on your skin and your skin's still ashy. And based on what you know of the world today, or America today, people are turning against religion realistically. And the environment of their social construct is doing everything that they can to bring people back, because they are thinking, a lot of you Bible thumping people are thinking that it is because of Christianity or religion that people are losing their focus. That's not true. And getting back on them trying to sell a product by putting a popular face in front of there, here's the real life thing. Truth never has to defend itself. Air doesn't have to defend itself. Real life never needs to defend itself. You don't need to try to say, oh, let's try to bring people back to Christ, or let's bring people back to the church. If Christ is true, Christ would do it on its own. Okay? If it's the truth, people will turn to it because it's fact. The reason why people are turning against religion because they are realizing religion is not true, because we are in the age of knowledge, not ignorance. Y'all in the age of evolving. Y'all are evolving from an ignorant species. You're not sitting here letting people tell you what your life is and what heaven and hell is. You're trying to discover it for yourself. When you get to that place in life, you are evolving and you are growing. You are becoming a person that cannot be controlled. So look at it like plantation, because we are all in this together. All of you, my American people, are my family. That's why I got this channel. That's why I answer these difficult questions, because I'm answering it for you. Even though you put me in the hot seat, but I'm just the messenger. So it has nothing to do with me, because most things that I talk about, a lot of you know of already. You just getting it in very, very, very crummy pieces of red pill. I just give it to you all the way down right. Okay? But y'all are becoming aware that religion is not the way, and it never was the way. As a matter of fact, religion is why people are becoming segregated and deciding to do their own thing and being upset about being deceived. Because y'all starting to read and you starting to do your research. Now, as I discussed, since we are an American family, look at it like slavery. We have all been in the religious indoctrination, which is called mental slavery. And it's just the same thing as what it used to be, where you have the slave master in the house, you have the field outside, you have the cotton pickers, you have this whole plantation based on keeping slaves intact. One by one, each of you, my American family, y'all getting stronger up here. Y'all are realizing, y'all looking around and say, wait a minute, this ain't life. And you are leaving the plantation to be free to think for yourself. The slave masters are knowing this. They're realizing that they're missing slaves. That a lot of you are walking off of the plane. Y'all walking away and say, this is bull. Dog, what this? Like, hey, who are you to tell me who I am? I am me. I ain't Toby. You know, I'm Kunta Kinte. A lot of you. And like I said, this ain't limited to race. All of us is in it. Mexican, Caucasians, Italians, some Asians, every one of us is in it when it comes to religion, because that's a universal thing. Because a lot of the Christianity and religions, it's universal. So all of us being once in that slave plantation, now that we are leaving, now all of y'all like, nah, man, y'all jumping over the fence and leaving and gone. Now the slave masters of a lot of these indoctrinations are losing control over you and over their stock. So they had to find a way to get you to come back to the plantation. So they're not like, oh my God, we're losing faith in people. They're losing faith in us, because they're realizing that we're lying to them. That all we giving them is just bread, giving them little cornbread and water and a bunk to sleep on. They need more than that. They're realizing that they love themselves more than just mediocre life. You understand? So they're trying to say, well, let's get people back to religion or Christianity, which ain't gonna do nothing but limit you down. Now let's get on to this next writing here. Another email that asked me said, why do I read from paper instead of reading from a computer screen with my emails? Because I'm gonna tell y'all like it is. Okay, just because you don't believe in being natural, just because you need an Apple phone or an Android to tell you what to do, just because you need spell check, just because you are an insufficient, dilapidated, deteriorating human being that will allow your powers to be usurped by some computer, that doesn't mean Morpheus is. I gotta adjust this thing here. Look like started falling over as soon as I started talking about it. That's just the camera. Okay, nothing else. So what I have learned, and I practice what I preach. I told you that paper and pen is healthy for you. It is aesthetic. Okay. It is good to practice that for your own brain motor skills and for your memory and for your own signature. Writing is healthy for the human body. Touching physical paper and using pen or paper or pencil is a healthy thing. No, that doesn't mean that I'm not against recycling. Okay, recycling is good as well. But what's most important, even if I have to cut down trees, what I'm using is more healthier than sitting here depending on a computer. So I write things down. Just because you don't like to write doesn't mean I don't like to write. Just because you think that your life is easier just by pushing a button and telling Sirius, how do I write in the beginning or how? You know, I don't need to do that because I remember the words. I don't need Sirius to remember for me. So the reason why I do a lot of reading from paper is because I read the emails and I write them down. It may be too much work for you, but that's not a lot of work for me because I'm natural and you're not. Okay? That's the answer to that question. I told you, I keep it raw and uncut. If you don't like what I'm saying, keep playing with your computers. See what happened to you. Who's going to be smarter? I am. Now, because you need a computer to think, I don't. I got paper and pencil. Okay? I still know how to do handwriting and curvatures. You got to use fonts. All right. Next. Here's the question I want you to ask yourself. Who are you? And I'm going to get to the core of religion for you, my friends. The core of this service here to you. Ask yourself, who are you? I respect, and you know me as being Morpheus Leon C. I'm all about the cars. I respect the authenticity of creation. There is one automaker, and there's others who are just the same, but I don't want to get them wrong by listing them wrong. But the Koenigsegg's, I heard and I see that they make their own. They make their own products. You open up the hood, the wires is from them, the engine is from them, transmissions from them, the window is from them. Most every product in their engineering lineup was made by them. Now follow me, adults. Listen to what I'm saying. Learn something from Morpheus. I'm giving you something now. If you don't get it, okay, you will never be saved. Real saved. You will never jump off the plane. You will never be a free slave. Listen. Most cars today, when you open up the hood, every part is made from a different part of the country, from a different place. Thailand, China, Korea, different places like that, or Colombia, somewhere in Detroit. They come from all over. They're not authentic. They are a design makeup that, yes, collaborate all into one, but it's not an authentic car that you think it is. It's a collaboration of other parts from other cars and other manufacturers. When you believe in religion or your faiths, or when you're saying, oh, this is God because they told me this is God, listen to Morpheus. That means you are accepting not to be authentic, that you are taking in every other idea into your soul that has a signature of someone else's idea, someone else's perspective, and you have not signed nothing about yourself. So you are an automobile, which is what you call that, assembled with parts that has the name of everybody else instead of your own, and you think that you are a living being. You are a freaking zombie. You understand? You want to be real to yourself. You want to be accurate with what you know by you being the authentic creator, to be the authentic owner of yourself. You cannot own yourself if you are a Chevy and your engine comes from somewhere else. Could you imagine a Range Rover engine being something that's inside of a Porsche or somewhere like a Chevy Cavalier or something like that? Why don't you just call it a Rover Cavalier? Okay, it won't make sense. So what do they have to do is to say, oh, this is just a Chevy. Okay, this is a Chevy. Let's leave it simple and let you figure out where the other parts came from. But why would you want that to be for you? And then you live and you die by it. You wonder why y'all not evolving. You wonder why the human species is still mindless. Let me tell you something. This is what I wrote down. And mind you, good job Koenigsegg and other car manufacturers who actually make your own product for your cars. When I see that and it belongs to you, you made the wheels, you made the transmission, you made all the wire, you made all the components to the car. I love cars like that. I give you respects and honors. Cars that are made from all over the place. Yeah, we got to keep jobs flowing and going. I ain't even gonna go there. Okay, it's just not my type of car. Listen carefully. Here's the question, getting back to it. Who are you then? A Koenigsegg, know what it is. But who are you when you are taking in other insignificant proportions of second-hand experience? Oh, I know Gesture the Christ is real because I've seen him walking on water. Look, listen. The perfect slave is they who realize not they're enslaved. The perfect slave is one who refuses to think for themselves. The perfect slave is one who needs guidance. All the rest of their existence. The perfect slave is one who fears being themselves. Do you know who you are? The perfect slave needs religion to tell them the difference between right and wrong, because it's not built in them. The perfect slave has shackles around their brain in the form of low confidence, because y'all want approval by God you never seen. Y'all want approval by others who consider you to be a good person or a good guy because you believe in the same thing that they believe in. It's called shackles, and it's called low confidence. You don't think your God and Creator knew you before you decided to be yourself? Don't you know that you are here to be yourself? Why would you have low confidence in being you? If you don't want to be comfortable being you, then what are you? The perfect slave needs to work and serve in order to be acknowledged and be a worthwhile person. Or to be accepted as a worthwhile person. So you got to work to be loved. You got to work to be appreciated. The perfect slave is one who cannot define liberation, nor live liberated, nor try to be liberated. Think about that. If you think your liberation is living by a book or what other people tell you what to do, you're not liberated. If you ain't living every day to advance your species type, but you're just living every day just to live every day just because you think functioning every day is the way to live, my dear friends and family, you're not living. You're functioning. And you're not living, you're only existing. Do you know machines exist? Do you know clocks? They don't live, they exist. Don't you realize that? Just because you are breathing and you wake up in the morning, that doesn't mean you are living, you're existing. You're existing. To live means you know what gives your life validity and excitement. You want to know the evidence of life is? The same things that y'all hate. I'm going to tell you like it is. I'm going to tell you what you hate. Happiness, peace, love, unity, positive energy. Y'all hate that stuff. Because you want to know why? If we had this in our community, do you really think we'd have all these movements that are separating us? No. The lack of love, the lack of all these things causes separation. Who wants to fight? Who wants to fight? What's the whole point in that? There's no peace in it. Why would you find peace in chaos? Why? Because we are an unloving people, because we need other people. I've met Christians, and I told you that my family has been in it forever, okay, and still in it, okay? So I've been around them in the church, and I've watched, not just them, I'm talking about just the church people themselves, of all diaspora, where if they go a week without church, a week, they were transformed to this monster that you never see. In their religion, no profanity, they start cursing, they start having bad behavior, they start lying, they start making excuses. Because they got to keep going back to the church for that fill up that's a placebo. Do your research. Because they're not getting what their soul really needs. Some of you are getting what your soul needs. You just don't acknowledge it as a religion. You are functioning every day, but you are reaching towards life because you are discovering that religion was never the way to reach life. It was a deception. You are realizing that. There was a thing in their passage that you got to understand. Listen carefully to Morpheus. It was talking about the woman at the wishing well. When Jester was standing there trying to say, well, if you drink from my waters, you'll never be thirsty again. Basically. You know how many thirsty people are still rummaging around the American complex? Unfulfilled, and you think that religion was the solution. Again, it was the problem. Next, the perfect slave is one who knows not history, yet will argue about the present. I've had people try. I don't argue. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't argue. I'll walk away. I don't waste my time. If my debates are not logical and sensible, okay, in a decent, intelligent conversation, I'm not going to waste my time with you. If anyone wants to argue with you instead of debate with you, they don't have any validity with what they're trying to protect or produce. If they need to get loud, if it turns out to be an argument instead of a simple debate conversation where they don't want you to speak, but they just want to keep rummaging over what you say, then where the argument should be derived from isn't factual. Because the truth don't need to argue with you. I'll just walk away from it. Most of these people, when they argue from their mentality, from their low frequency spectrum of a mind band, most times they can only argue with you at the present because they don't have no facts of the past. They haven't followed history. They haven't followed the way that the world used to be. They can only surmise what they know of today based on what they just learned today. They don't comprehend what they just learned today is something that was generated from the past. You don't need to waste your time arguing with them people until they can tell you what happened then. They can't tell you about what's going on now. Last but not least, the perfect slave is one who inspires others to limit their freedom to second-hand experiences. Take your time to think about that. Most times, experiences is the greatest teacher. Experience will pull you out of your ignorance. Now, this video is not solely directed on religion or Christianity. It's about your inner self. I, as Morpheus, and you as an individual, do not want to go back to the plantation. You do not want to be limited by someone else's ignorance. That's why I tell you, do your research. I've even made a book for you down below in the description box, okay, that you can read and use that as a stepping stone to get to your next evolution. I don't know how many times I have had conversations with people who is tired from living from day to day. They all have the same questions that some of you have, but you are afraid to ask those questions because that means it's a mirror of your own frailty in your human self. Life is not about what you believe in. It's about what you know. The more experience you have and the more you know about a thing or other dispensations and ideas, you will have the power to put it together and come up with your own idea. This thing about Satan and gesture is just like your TV movie about Marvel Comics. You have Superman and you have Lex Luthor. We're quick to talk about Superman and his past and watch 2 segment videos on Superman, but they'll only give you like 1 chapter on Lex Luthor, on what he have been through. The common intellectual person will comprehend that they are misdirecting you in one direction for a reason. Listen to me, my friends and family. If that is ever the case in your life, it's called having a programmed mind, because a program is to get you to be steered in that direction like you do cows and animals. You put them in a corral, and once they get to one section of the corral, you close the door behind them. So when they try to turn around, they can't go back there because the gate is closed, because you want them to go all the way through here, probably go into the feeding area or the cleaning area or the milking area or wherever area that you want that animal to be. True liberation and freedom, my friends and family, is giving you the choice and the option to decide for yourself what fruit works for you. That's what true freedom and liberation is. It's not against Satan. It's not against gesture. It's not against other religions. It's not against what you believe. It's giving you the power and the choice to look at it and smell it and say, okay, I think I know what I like. If you have a group of people or a group of idealists, so-called idealists, who want to just give you this and get rid of everything else, something's wrong with their head. Okay? And something's wrong with your head for accepting it. Your liberation comes when you realize your life is a blank piece of paper. You are the right on that piece of paper. What you decide. Automatically within yourself as a child of your creator who brought you into existence. You know what you should do and you know what you should not do. Therefore, that means you are maturing. That means you are growing up. That means you are being the entity that you should be. So therefore, with that, you're not being misdirected. You're in the right direction. Now, That is this video. Take the time to think about it on your own. Do your own research. It's Leon C. And you have my connections down there below. And anyone else who may need to hear this, because you feel like they're just in a closed box mind. Trust me, that boxed mind usually is because of fear. Because they just blocked everything else that and think that this own fruit is the only thing that's best for them. When you read a book, it's not going to always be exact. You got to learn how to read between the lines. Learn how to take personal initiative to grow from the situations that you are in.